Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla, and today I have a very special guest for you. We have Idan Meir. Idan is the co-founder and CEO of RightHear. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Otto. I'm excited.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you. Before we go into your personal story, Idan, if you can give the audience just a brief general overview, if they haven't heard of RightHear, what is RightHear?
Yeah, absolutely. So RightHear is an audible wayfinding system or talking signage system, or an audio format of the signs that we all see around us every day, all day long. The idea is to provide people with a higher independence wherever they go. And I always start, when talking about RightHear, I always start with these two facts, if I may. One is that wherever you go in the country, no matter if you're just here in the DMV area or if you're somewhere far away, you can find Braille signs, right? You notice that, Otto?
Yes, yes.
Elevators,
yes, yes.
In public restrooms. They're all around us, from small restaurants all the way to biggest airports. So that's the first fact. The second fact is most surprising, is that over 90%, even 95% out of the blind community cannot read Braille at all.
Wow.
So yeah, and those who can read Braille having a hard time to find the sign. You ever thought about that part? I don't know, but it is challenging to know where the sign is in order to actually read it. And in the past 3 years since COVID, even if you know to read Braille and you've been lucky to find the sign, you do not necessarily want to touch it anymore.
Very true.
So we thought if we'll be able to provide whatever is on that sign in an audio format to our users, especially if they're blind or visually impaired or with other orientation challenges, we could really make a huge impact. And that's us, very, very, very briefly.
I can't wait to get into that, how the whole idea came from, But before we go there, are you originally from this area?
No, so I relocated here with my family just 2 years ago, from Israel, born and raised there. We talked about it earlier. It's obviously challenging times for us right now. Most of our team is there. Half of the Israeli team is currently on reserve duty. So it's been really, really challenging months for us. But nothing stops us. Not terror stops us, and nothing else. We're determined to continue doing good. Yeah, and
you know what, Idan? That Israeli Jewish is what makes you guys stronger in the entrepreneur business world. Just because time and time again, there's things and continue to push forward.
Exactly. I like to think about it, like eggs. The more you boil it, the stronger it gets. It's not like it's turning something else. So
Yeah.
we are resilient. I'm very proud. We're 6 years as a startup company, and we've been to COVID. We've been most of our times. We raised our first round just last year, so most of our time has actually been bootstrapped, and we faced enormous challenges during COVID as a bootstrap company in a very niche market. Accessibility isn't the first come to mind, if you will, to businesses. So I'm proud of our resiliency of our team, and I'm sure. And you know what? If to talk about this for a second, I think part of the reasons for that is that we have a very strong why for what we're doing. Like, it's not, we're doing what we're doing because we completely believe in the value it creates to people and to the world. I know personally users of our app, people who are blind and visually impaired, that are actually depending on the app, right? They're telling us we're not leaving home without the app open and fully charged, so they can find their way around. So knowing that someone is depending on what you're building, is independent living, is kind of depending on that. I think the strongest motivation to, no matter what the challenges are, we're gonna make it happen. It's bigger than the business. The bottom line is just bigger than business.
So talking about the app now, Idan. So how does it work? So you download it, of course, right? So you open it up, and then what happens?
Yeah. The whole system basically has three main components. One is the app, right? And I'll get back to it in a second. That's the user interface. The second component is beacons that we're installing in facilities, which are Bluetooth devices. This is how they look like for those who are seeing us. And the third component is a cloud dashboard, which allows us to manage it all. But from a user perspective, again, it's a free app. Those who are curious can check us out at the App Store or Google Play. It's a free app. It's also anonymous. There's no sign into the app. We don't ask your name, email, or anything like that. Excuse me. And it supports 26 different languages. Once you open up the app, basically the apps give you audio descriptions of where you are, whether if it's outdoors or indoors. And this is where our strength really is, and our focus really is.
Indoors.
You get answer. Yes, indoors, obviously, because there's no GPS, right? In outdoors, we have different, Google Maps and others that are doing pretty decent work there, or even more than that. I mean, from a blind or visually impaired standpoint perspective. But in the outdoor space, back to the Braille signs, that's all we had. Like from a blind perspective or visually impaired perspective, when you get into a building, if they have the Braille signs, that's good, and that's it. But it's not as good as it could be. So indoors, the main answers and the main questions we answer our users are, where am I? So you are at the main entrance to McDonald's. We're working with all of them in Israel, or Pizza Hut, or you are you're at the second floor of this office building. Right? We're working with all of WeWork in Israel, for example. So where am I? Second is, what is here? That could be the open hours. The open hours are Monday to, I don't know, but many stores, retail stores, have the open hours sign, or libraries have that as well. So just providing it in audio format with the user language, right, and pace helps. By the way, it's not just helping people who are blind. It also helps people with other challenges like cognitive disability. Think about dyslexia, for example, or severe dyslexia, or so where am I? What is here? Third is, what's around me. No matter whether the user is pointing around with his smartphone, it lets him know what is there in what distance. And there's a bunch of other features into the app, calling for local assistant and opening up different object recognition apps. But ultimately, the goal is to provide users with independent wherever they go. It's a completely free app, and we don't know nothing about our users. So our business model is just not there. Our business model is charging facilities for this accessibility service. Just like they have their website accessible and other services accessible. So guess what? Their space, the environment, their building, their office, whatever that is, also need to be accessible. That's us.
Not many, as far as indoors, whether I guess these typically commercial real estate landlords, right? I don't think they ever think of people coming in and they're not able to read or see or anything. And it's like, is that an uphill battle for you as far as trying to show them?
To be honest, I mean, now we're in the penetration phase of our company here to the market. It is a bit of an uphill battle, to be completely honest. Some businesses get it faster than others. Some are more early adopters than the others. For now, it is a bit of an uphill, but I think as we grow and we see more references and more requests actually from users to have this hill tend to be down, if you will. It's making it a bit easier. I personally believe that within a few years, that will become a new norm, a new standard, an obvious thing to have, just like online accessibility is, right? No company can really afford not having their website accessible. And if not, they're taking a very big risk. Similarly goes to their built environment. One of the things that we found is that, unfortunately, some businesses still consider accessibility as a feature. Well, in reality, it's the law and it's people's right, right? Right. So we do some work around. I mean, really, it's just unbelievable that there's. You can find ramps and you can find great other accessibility features, but from, again, a blind and visually impaired perspective, there are about 8 million people who are blind and visually impaired in the US. It's just like New Jersey, right? There's nothing, almost nothing.
How many
Again,
people again?
there's about 8 million.
Okay. Wow.
8 million who are
Yeah.
blind or visually impaired in the country. So just yeah.
I can see that just because, as you know, I'm in commercial real estate day to day, and I'm talking to landlords and business owners, and I can see the landlord's perspective is like, unless the municipality or government is making me put in that ramp there, so I won't get sued or whatever it is, right? For it to be ADA accessible, okay, then I will have to do it. But things like this are like, oh, like you said, they consider it a feature or an amenity, when in reality, it should not be.
Exactly. And it's just a matter of time. And I think those are the early adopters, like in many other technologies, those who get it earlier will basically benefit more than the others. So those who are getting it now basically can leverage the impact from even from a marketing standpoint of what it creates for the business. Like, hey, look at us. We're not waiting for that to be a requirement. We're going above and beyond now. Today, we're putting efforts into this before the market realized that that's the new norm and the new standard to be followed. By doing that, I think they're leading their brand, they're leading their audience, they're leading with integrity, if you will, as well, and creating a much more inclusive environment. And one of the things we found that by having our system, it's not just directly helping people who are users, people who are blind or visually impaired. It's actually have other bigger, wider impact. It sends a message. It sends a message that, one, we are innovative and we're looking for new ways to do things, and secondly, that we care and inclusive. So that sends a message to the rest of the the organization, to the customers, and that's a lot of times go far than expected. And by the way, from a customer perspective, knowing that you, as a customer right now, right, if you're knowing that you care and you do something for the blind, visually impaired, you're earning my points as well as a sighted person, right? Like I appreciate that. So it's really is go further than just our niche community.
Do you know, is there anything happening sort of behind the scenes as far as on a policy level, as far as trying to bring this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are, again, it's so simple. Back to the two facts that I mentioned: the number of Braille signs and the number of people who actually read Braille. These two facts, the U.S. Access Boards are familiar with these two facts. The different nonprofit, blind organizations familiar with these two facts, obviously, and there are different essays and different efforts that are now being made, here in the Capitol Hill and other areas, also in the state level. So there's no. When you look at the reason for, as you said before, the reason for the Braille signs to be out there and for the ramps and others, it's because of the ADA. And when you read the ADA, you actually find, I'm not sure if you want to get too much details there, but I will just share what you find there is something called effective communication. And under that is our signage. It's a form of communication. So are the signs effective? And it has to be effective for all, right? That's why we have Braille on it, because 33 years ago, the recommendation was, well, let's put Braille on these signs. That's the best way we can communicate it to the blind community. Today, it just doesn't make sense anymore. And the thesis of making it effective for everyone is still there. So there is a gap. Regulators understand that. Businesses starting to understand that. We realized that very early on. Users understand that. So again, it's inevitable. To be honest, it's just inevitable. It might be, by the way, we're not the only solution to solve that. There are other great options there, to be honest. It's one of the things I love about our industry is that they're all doing something super important. I have a lot of respect to all our competitors, to be honest. I think what differentiates us is really the simplicity of it. We've made it like as simple as possible to make this space accessible. Within minutes, we can make it accessible very affordably. It's a very affordable solution, I must emphasize. We made it a no-brainer type of thing, just like Braille signs are. And that's why we currently have about 10x more locations than the rest of the market. We have over 2,500 facilities globally. I mentioned some of the brands, but there are Microsoft offices, other really blue chip companies started to work with us again, primarily in Israel and Europe. We're now finally bringing it here to the US.
It's amazing. So you're in over 10x more facilities than the closest other competitor, let's call it.
Yeah, and again, it's as I said, we've made it super simple. We've made it really, while most of the others are focusing on navigation, like taking you from point A to point B. Like if you want to go to Otto's office, so turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left. You've arrived.
Yes.
We're doing something a bit different. We just let you know where you are, what's around you, and maybe based on that information, you want to go to Otto's office or want to go somewhere else. That's approach makes it much more affordable, much simpler, much easier, and also equal.
Sure.
Right? Because for me as a sighted person, I don't have a navigation tool to find your office. I just need to use my eyes and signs, right? So it's about making the experience equal, not better or worse. So
yeah, I think if they just incorporate as soon as regulations change, I think that'll be a game changer for you. It would just yeah.
Absolutely. It could happen two ways. One is through our regulators change, and it does not. By the way, there's nothing much to change it. It's more of an enforcement and awareness around what already is required. As I said,
really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean the effective communication piece is already there. It just there's a status quo thinking that Braille signs are checking that box, but it's not anymore. But it's not just that. We've seen in Israel. Once we've started to work with there's a market standard force that could also play here, because once we started to work with McDonald's again there, guess what happened? Pizza Hut and the other chains, big chains. We cannot allow ourselves not having something like this now, because now we're in a discriminating position. We don't want to be there anymore. So when we are already in discussions with a few market leaders here. I believe that once the first will take the lead on that completely, that will change the game as well. So it could be from a public sector to the private sector, both.
That's true. Idan, if I could take you briefly for a moment, back, childhood growing up in Israel, what part of Israel did you grow up in the first place?
No, it's very close to Tel Aviv. I always say it's 20 minutes from Tel Aviv, but it's kind of the whole country. But yeah, but very, very close to Tel Aviv.
Okay. So growing up in Israel, I know you said you just moved here to this area about 2 years ago, but what were you into? What did you like?
Well, my story there, I'll take it more to more adulthood, like at the age of 18. So everyone in Israel go to the army, right? We have to serve there. And my dream at the time was to serve in the most elite unit possible, right? Like the Navy of Israel. And I was practicing. It was all about that, and I managed to get into their course, which was a real big deal for me at the time. I'm still very proud of that. And I made it almost to the end of the course, but I failed almost at the end of it because of the navigation piece. So there's a lot of navigation in the practice in the course there, and I was horrible at that. I don't have that GPS chip in my brain. Okay. So and I always consider that my biggest failure and biggest frustration ever, because I almost made it to my dream at the time, but I couldn't, just because I couldn't find the way. Well, and the night over night we're navigating in nowhere. And then when, after army, I've traveled a little bit, go back, to Israel. I knew that I wanted to build something bigger than business, or bigger than myself, at least, something that was high impact. And we were thinking about different ideas. At the time, my grandfather turned to be blind. And I understood that solving something that really bothers you would be strong, because you really care about the topic. And we thought, okay, well, maybe my orientation challenge could be addressed better. And we thought, well, if we'll be able to address this challenge to those that have even most severe challenge with orientation, you ultimately will be able to solve it to everyone. And we thought, okay, there's the blind community. Let's just try and talk to them. How's that? I thought it's already been solved, to be honest. At the time, I thought there's no way that just going with people everywhere they need to go. there's technology already, right? I mean, yeah, but it was there. It was an you know, their reaction to this concept and to this MVP that we developed, like I will always remember that. It was like, wow, that's a huge wow. The type that you really want to hear from a potential customer.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, we're up on something. There's something here. Then we thought, hold on, but there's not a lot of people who are blind, and how much they would be interested to pay for that. And like, is it a real business here or just? And then we thought, hold on, wait, maybe we can think about something a bit different with the business model. So they won't need to pay for it, but businesses could. And well, you're in commercial real estate. That it's just been building more and more. It's not going backwards, right? There's just more of that over years for sure. So yeah, that's our original story of creating RightHear.
From the moment you had that thought, as far as you were seeing your grandfather, to when you actually, obviously you're ideating the idea, brainstorming it, whether with yourself or other colleagues, co-founders, to when you actually decided, okay, let's do it. How long was that period of time?
Pretty short. The reason is because even before this idea, we had actually this idea was a pivot from a different idea that we had beforehand. And before that idea, I had others. Like I have a full list of ideas. I think many of the listeners probably have their short list of ideas.
Yeah.
I was trying to pursue them way before this one.
Sure.
And I had different businesses before this one. So but I think with this one, I think we've made a way better process. And to give you an example, we almost immediately, like I would say a month or two once we had this idea, we went to meet with users who are blind and visually impaired and asked for their opinion. And then, as I told you, we kind of thought about the business model. So we thought, oh, well, what if businesses would pay for it? And we thought, okay, so we have to validate that assumption as soon as possible. So it was another month or two till we actually went to speak with actual potential customers, and we didn't have anything yet. We really didn't have anything yet, but we saw them as if we do. So we went to a university, and we just made a presentation for them as if we already have the solution, but we have nothing, right? It was just Gil and myself. Hey, we have this app. It does da. And then they ask us, well, what about other languages? Can you do it also in Arabic? We have students here speaking Arabic. And we're like, oh, that's a great idea. We haven't thought about languages. Sure. Yes, we're planning to add that very soon. And, and that's customer discovery, which was real because we were actually selling something that we don't have, was super effective. When it's got to the final details, we say, well, guys, we would need actually another 2 or 3 months to really get back to you with it delivered. Do you mind? And in our case, there's no urgency here.
Yeah,
like, they haven't been accessible for years. So, okay, another 2 months or 3, they could work with us because we're upgrading our technology and we're blah 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 blah. So yeah, from a process standpoint, from the moment we had an idea to the first customer, that was just a much more effective process, a lean startup type of process.
Yeah, it sounds like, also your past history as far as different startups or different business ideas. Business for you personally, Don, has always been sort of at a forefront of entrepreneurship. Was that something at a young age that you like, or that you saw somewhere that interests you?
It's I realized I'm an entrepreneur before I knew to say entrepreneur. Like I didn't know. I was doing projects. I would just like doing different projects at high school, even during the army. Afterward, I just had these projects. And by the way, for those who are listening to us and kind of, thinking about going to entrepreneurial route, right, and thinking about building their new business or building a business, just call it a project. Don't call it a business yet. Just consider it as a project or as a side project. That's reduced dramatically all the expectations from it, from you, from yourself, right, and from your surroundings and family and friends and others. So you're not building a new business with all the expectations. No. it's just a project, right? So it's just
Yeah.
even a side project. That's reduced the anxiety and the expectations we are building to ourselves with that. So I had these projects all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's part of also Israeli culture. There's like a lot of startups going on from Israel. I think the whole country is a one big startup as a whole.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's
so it's
big. I
like,
mean, I was reading the other day as far as the number of unicorns coming from Israel compared to the population, the number of people there. You guys are
yeah,
number one on the list. Yeah,
yeah. The per
yeah,
capita one is really crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of second to Silicon Valley or something like that, or in
yes,
its best days. I don't know what the numbers are today. But and the reason, by the way, it's I think if you ask me, I think the reason for this is just because it's such a small country, and if those are not necessarily familiar with the geography, it's kind of an island, to be honest, because you cannot really travel to the countries in the neighborhood. So it's just you have yourself and then the sea or flights. So it's
mhm,
kind of an island from at least
yeah,
from almost an economical standpoint, and it doesn't have a lot of gas in that island or like natural resources. So you have to do something in order
yes,
to thrive. And I think that's how technology and entrepreneurship, innovations became such a strong component of the mentality and culture.
of course.
Um,
I agree. I'm always amazed at what the country has built in such a short period of time compared to other countries that have more history.
yep,
It's just amazing.
yep.
Yeah.
It's
So go
I mean,
ahead.
I don't remember how this phrase goes, but the need is the father of all inventions. The need,
Yes.
right? I think we just stressed with that need, like if right. So it's been like it's Israel is basically a desert, right? So in terms of agriculture, yeah, if you need to grow fruits and food, so come up with an idea, because otherwise you'll stay hungry. I'm
Hmm.
thinking like 30, 40, 50 years ago, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah. So you moved here. I know you said that the company founded 6 years ago, right?
right.
And then you come here about 2 years ago. Why that move?
Yeah, so again, so we started 6 years in Israel. We've been
Hmm.
bootstrapped very long period of time. Then COVID hit, and we are resilient, as I said before, but it was a big hit to us. We've shrunk from about 10 employees back to two, back me and my co-founder, with many clients right now and commitments, and many on our shoulders. And we thought, okay, maybe now that we've proved the technology, we proved the concept, we proved the business model, maybe it's now our time to really expand to bigger market than in Israel. Um, and in order to do that, we realized, okay, we actually in the beginning we thought of doing something in Europe just because it's closer, right,
Hmm.
to Israel. We actually were looking into the German market, which is very regulated and social. I've been to Germany like 3 times in order to kind of try to discover this market, understanding that I just don't speak the language. So
Yeah.
it's such a huge barrier. Like I just cannot even speak with them. Like,
Hmm.
well, obviously they do know English, but not all of them. And then we say, okay, let's look at our SWOT analysis. We know English. Okay, so and then we say, okay, let's go to the UK. It's also close to us, but
Hmm.
well, if it's going to be in English, let's go for a bigger market.
Sure.
And we know that VCs, at least in Israel, really very focusing on US market. So why not?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think it's a great timing for our US activity here than it used to be. Again, there's more awareness need to be created and other factors, but I think that the understanding of the gap in the market is now finally discussed. Um,
I'm glad you chose the US and even happier that you chose this area here, the DMV. Why this area?
why this? Well, this area, I have 3 or 4 main reasons for that. One, we as Israeli startup again, we wanted to be on the East Coast. from a time zone perspective, it's make it easier, right? Our R&D is still in Israel, so time zone. Like if you're on the East Coast, so we didn't want to pay, you know, what you pay in New York, for example. Sure. So we're looking for something that is more affordable or reasonable, I would say. So DMV area is good for, I think, in comparing to other places. Thirdly, is business-wise, all the decision makers from a policy standpoint are here. Right? There's all the National Federation of the Blind headquarters are here in Baltimore, not too far, and they're a great partner. Columbia Lighthouse here in DC, they're a great partner, and I can mention others. So, and fourthly, is the Israeli Jewish community, which, you know, just landing here from a completely different place. We just want to know, like, you know, from a family standpoint and others, how can we integrate easier? Yeah, so that was, and I love this area. I really do. I mean, I remember being here for a conference 5 years ago, and I walked here. It was in Arlington area, and I just walked there in the street. It's like, wow, I can see myself like living here for a little while. Like I like the squirrels and all that. I love that.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you chose it. So right now, Idan, is just you and your co-founder doing everything at the moment.
Oh no, that was again in COVID. Then we grew back again. Okay. We've raised our first seed round at the beginning of this year. So after again about 4 or 5 years of completely bootstrapping, generating revenues, but was tough as a bootstrap company. We've raised our first round this year and hired another 2 people here with me. So we're actually a team of 3 here in the US. Okay. Planning to hire another 1 or 2 in the coming month, but for now just 3. Yeah, it is exciting time for us. I think with the more and more interest from more and more companies here. Really, also, you know, what's really surprised me is that finally very big brands contacting us as inbound.
Wow.
Like, yeah, like what are they? Yeah. What? Like who? It's an uphill for us, you know, doing what we're doing
to get the word out.
Exactly. So finally, look, they find us, and I was like.
Do you know how?
You reach out to?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. They're immediately like, "Are you sure you know where you called to? Like, you know, how did you find us at all? Like, it's really is surprising to me. How well, you know, we're good in SEO. I think we kind of if you Google audio format signage or things from that sort, you're probably gonna find us. Users starting talking about us again more and more.
Okay. I'm glad we're going here for a moment. As far as marketing, like from a marketing standpoint, what helps drive your traffic? You just mentioned SEO. So is that, would you say, sort of number 1? And are you doing that in-house, or is that a third party outside?
So for the SEO, we'll do it occasionally, not all the time, but with a third-party agency that help us with this. But that's not actually our first or a major engine. Maybe for the inbound, maybe now here, but overall in our past few years, I think our strongest engine of marketing is actually embedded with our product, which is. Again, once we talking with a potential customer or a customer, and he decide to go with this and having this, they almost immediately starting talking about this. Hey, look at us! Look what we've done here. It's actually even part of the reason sometimes, to be honest, they even partner with us. So they talk about us. They made a video. They promote the video on YouTube and other channels. Like they put the posters on their walls so people coming in will know about it. They talk about it in the newsletter. It's a story. It's a huge story for the press. Loves it. The press see, oh, look what this company done for the visually impaired. This is lovely. Let's make an article about it. Great, and that brings us more and more interest and customers and users. So that's actually something I really feel lucky to have. That every new deal we close is. It's not just another building that is accessible, but also a great advertising or campaign that we're making.
So from each property, you can probably get several more clients out of that just because of the word of mouth and the virality. Yeah.
and it's their, and then a lot of times their dollars.
Yeah, it's
If their dollars for our it's kind of for our marketing, which is best. So,
but in order to even get that initial meeting or sit down with that potential customer, is that they're finding you like SEO, or is it that you're
or
out reaching outbound to them?
we're outbound. So today, again, in the US, again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still a penetration phase. I say we're 2 years here, but the first year was mainly around the fundraising, right? So that's where it was, again, only myself, registering the company here and understanding the market. So, and just in the past year, we're actually starting to do go-to-market marketing sales. For that effort, we do a lot of outreach through emails, email marketing. A little bit of SEO, as I said before. We have never done any paid campaigns like on social media or things like that. We've never done that at this point. Conferences a little bit.
Okay.
Another hack, if I can share on that, is so we're making spaces accessible, right? And sometimes there are different conferences that ask us if we want to sponsor or have as an exhibitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just ask them a very simple question: is the conference accessible? Like, what do you mean? Like, do people who are blind can find the restrooms in the no, what is that? So, and then, okay, so let's work together. We'll make the conference accessible, and we would love to get the sponsorship package. So it's kind of a shaking hand, which gives us a great visibility and reference.
Works both ways.
Exactly, and it makes
Yeah.
the conference more inclusive. And as I said, not just for the blind and visually impaired, but again, for a language standpoint,
Yes.
or others. So
Yeah, I love that. That's a great hack you shared. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I think, but maybe I know there's some, again, many entrepreneurs also in your audience. Just try to always look back reflectively on what you have. As I said, we know English. Okay, what we have a system that turns spaces accessible. Okay, what we have a good story. We have a really good story, I think, for business. Looking back to what you have, a lot of times great ideas can come out of this for your efforts through the market. So
with your entrepreneurial journey, there's always great times, low times. Sometimes it's up and down. Is there, and there's setbacks. That's just part of it. That comes with the territory most of the time. Is there any setback, or let's say fail, we could call it, that you can remember, Idan, and what did you learn from that moment?
Well, during fundraising, there's tons of them. Like I try to think which one are worth talking about, but they're all day long, such small failures. I'll share honestly that when we started this, I thought that within a year we'll be like multimillionaires. Like, again, it's been 6 years and we're still far from that. I hope not too far, but we still have distance there. What I think the most recent hard-coded, I would say, fail is during fundraising. You just get to hear so many no's. Like it's a really brutal process. Going the fundraising capital to your startup, it's just a brutal process. I don't know how much people are aware of that, especially when the market goes down. Like since June last year, when the market was just going down, it was just brutal. And especially because so we got some commitments that took back.
Oh, they were pulled away. Yeah.
So you're fighting so strong to get that commitment, and then you get that commitment, and then you realize that it's been pulled away. So like, think about it from a psychological, mental. That was really hard. And I definitely seen points in time last year that I thought, okay, that's it. That's the end of the road. It's been a nice journey. It's been a nice road. That's probably the end of it. In those moments, I think what helps me again is always realizing why we're doing what we're doing. Really, it's which is a different why than when it started, and the why is something that is changing over time. But go back to what's the current why you're doing what you're doing. That gave me a lot of strength, and a lot of practice. I've meditated a lot in the past 2 years, controlling your feelings, like not letting these no's to affect you too much. Yeah.
So when you were in that moment earlier this year, right, or late last year,
Yeah.
and you were ready to sort of, let's say, throw the towel in and say, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. I guess you would just think about the why and the consumer, the people you would be helping out there.
Yes. Yes. And also I think, I am also a big believer in karma. Like I feel like, okay, I have to stay optimistic. Okay, we'll cut from here, we'll cut from there, we'll cut from here, we'll cut from there. We'll pursue what we're doing. We are making progress. We have to stay with our heads up and optimistic and pursue and pursue. I think it's requires a lot of determination and long. Probably missing the word in that in English, but like patience, a lot of patience as well. That things just can take time. Understanding that not everything is under our control. I got into a point that I think one of the things that really released me from this mental, if you will, crisis, if I can call it this way, is knowing that even if the company will shut down last year, if we wouldn't be able to raise, and if we would need to, close the business, I wouldn't consider that as a failure. I wouldn't consider that as a failure. And that released me so much, because I thought, okay, I mean, there's certain things that are not under my control. If the market's going dramatically down right now, so, does that mean that I failed? Well, I don't think so. It's probably been just a wrong timing, and that's life. Okay, I mean, there's other games I can play. There are other ideas I can pursue. There's other things I can do. So that won't be a failure. It will be a failure if I give up. That's what my thinking again. I don't think
I love that perspective. It's different. It's a failure if you just say, I'm done and I'm going to go work at whatever. But like you said, but it's like, okay, if it doesn't work out, maybe I will pivot to maybe something else, and maybe a new project comes up, right?
Exactly. And I think the challenge with that is understanding, because sometimes it is okay to give up or to say, okay, this is just not working. There's no point in just running against the wind, for the whole time. So there's a very you have to be very sensitive of what is happening in that moment. Is just, am I just blind, if you will, to the reality and pursuing something that is not real or not, or just a dream, or is it, no, it is real, but it's just the circumstances that are just super tough. I think it was a bit easier for me because we've seen what it get done. Like we had that already. We know it's working. We know what impact it's created for businesses and for users. It's just tough timing. So for me, it was just knowing that I have to not give up. Just don't give up. Just hold tight. That's it. Good things happen to those who hold tight, I must say, because others, from the competition standpoint, not necessarily holding tight as you are. So once the storm done,
who's the ones left standing?
Exactly. And there's it's a cleaner table right now. I like it. I mean, it's a cleaner table. It's it's worth it's worth holding when there's a good reason to hold.
I love that. Idan, are there any specific habits or traits you feel that have helped you in the business, or even just on the personal side of things?
I'm trying to exercise as much as I can, like once or twice. That's not too much, but as much as I can, twice a week, to release some stress. I'm not working at all on the weekend. I just close the laptop. I don't care if someone is emailing me. You will see my answer on Monday. So I'm not. I very rarely answer emails through my mobile phone. I don't do that. I just do it when I'm in front of the laptop and keyboard and ready to email, not just on the go emailing. I do get them and sometimes read like briefly what is that about, and then okay, I'll answer that later. I don't know, a lot of people, and then maybe, and not necessarily that's the right things to do. I'm just saying what I'm doing, and that's what helps me keep myself sane.
Yes.
And it's not always, I think, good business advice. But I think there's just a lot of I think people tend to think that everything is urgent and as soon as possible and immediate. Well, in our business, things can wait another day.
Mm-hmm.
And if the other side don't have that understanding, so maybe we're just not fit for doing business together. Because again, I haven't been accessible for years. So what's happened if we'll wait another day with that? I'm not saying like weeks, but so yeah, that's meditation I mentioned before. Trying to have at least 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes a day. I do it with the Headspace. I find it really helpful. And being a bit softer with yourself, just being soft with yourself, not too harsh. As I said, try to reduce the expectations where the thing we build to ourselves in our mind. Just chill out a little bit.
I agree. You know what helps me there in my instance. I'm lucky. My wife, my partner, she sort of helps me sort of look at things from a different perspective. Sometimes, we can be. Business is not easy out there. If you're out there going at it every day, playing that game, and it helps to have a partner who can sort of bring you down a little bit when it's needed. At least for me personally.
Correct. No, absolutely. And then another advantage by the way with the other partner could be your wife or just a business partner, but also holding sometimes like pausing and looking back at what you've done and congratulate yourself a little bit for that. Like, okay, that was tough to get to where you got already. So congratulate yourself. Celebrate that a little bit. So our minds tend to the sound of the negativity and of the failures are so much higher than the sound of the successes that we are getting. So like we tend to think in our mind that things are looks better, worse than they actually are. Yeah. So try not letting this voice to control, and instead of talk to this voice internally and say, hey, hold on, I hear you, volume down. There are also other things I'm hearing, and try to volume them up. I think it's a natural. Yeah,
it's so true. I didn't think about it from that perspective until you just mentioned it now. But the successes, it's true. We tend to sort of downplay them compared to our setbacks. Because when success happens, I'm almost like, okay, great, good, next. What's next? Okay, next. Because it's just, but with the failure, we just get stuck there sometimes. You're like, oh, yeah.
They're so much more louder. And I think that's probably some natural mechanism that we're like from fear standpoint. That so what's not going to happen? So I have to also so we're letting this volume to be higher of the risk and the fails and failures and etc. But that's, I think, by the way, again, where for me meditation really helps. So you're not letting the emotions and feelings to control. You can actually control them better. Mm-hmm. You actually can. Oh, I see that failure there. I see what I want to do to my mind right now. I'm not letting that go. I'm gonna let it a little bit kind of influence, but let's try to think about something else positive that happened this week or this day, and fight with it a little bit. And well, yeah. So
good.
That's a roller coaster.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone if they wanted to start their own startup? Maybe it's tech, maybe it's a totally different industry. Any pointers?
Yeah, so as I said before, first of all, don't call it a startup. Yes, it's going to be a startup, but first of all, just don't call it this way, because I think that's intentionally or unconsciously creates a big chunk of expectations. Oh, it's a startup, so that's going to be a unicorn? Oh, a unicorn, that's to be like $1 billion company you're building here. So guess what? If that's going to be $1 billion company, I should do A, B, C, D, oh, and how can I get A? How can I get B? Shh. No, it's not going to be $1 billion company. It's not going to be a unicorn. It's not a startup. It's a project. Let's just find out as an experiment if people want to do the X, if people would be willing to pay for Y, if that's something that is needed that you're missing. And if so, we'll move on to the next step, and we might call it a startup at a certain point. It's not like that's fine, or a business or whatever. But trying to reduce these artificial things that works against us. So that's one I would just start call it as even a side project, not even a project, just a side project. Continue doing what you're doing, and on the weekends or evenings, try to explore this idea. And when I say explore this idea again, try again, as I gave the example of what we've done, at least, and worked for us. And every business is different, so it really depends what could work for your business or not. But lean startup again. Try to see if you can sell this idea to ideally a customer. And if you can, that's a good signal to start actually developing it or working on it or building it. But go with the end game in mind from the very first steps. See if there's actual demand for this, and what's the receptions for this as soon as possible. I hope it helps. I don't know.
No, definitely it does. What would you say is your biggest challenge with your role today at RightHear?
Well, today, given the circumstances, right, was what's happening in Israel, it's a huge reprioritization that we're doing right now. So again, understanding where should we put our focus right now? How can we support our team, our customers, our users during these devastating times? There's a great book I can recommend called The Hard Things About Hard Things. Here it is. A book recommendation. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Ben Horowitz. He's a VC.
Yes. So it's a great book. I read it a few years ago. The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And he, in the book, talked about a peaceful time CEO and wartime CEO. And wartime CEO could be in times where, a company's wartime because whatever crisis happened to the company, or just out there because markets down, or COVID happening, or a war is happening. And during wartime, what he recommend is really taking care of the people first, right? The product second, and the product and the profit and the revenue third. First, take care of the people, then take care of the product you're having, and thirdly, on the profit. They will come eventually. They will come. They're gonna come back in. So my focus in the past months was really the people, trying to be there for our team and their families, trying to continue with our milestones with the product, with the R&D perspective, not letting again terror wins that. For our sales effort, that was extremely difficult. Like I think in sales, marketing, business development, you meet people, you have to bring yourself to the room. And when your heart isn't there, it's just really hard. So if you cannot move on with this, wait with that, move on with things that you can promote. And the profit will follow, I believe. So
that's great. Coming to an end here soon, what do you know now that you wish you would have known at the start of your business career?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. So many things. I think I think I kind of knew it, but I wasn't confident in that understanding that I believe that the only way of learning entrepreneurship is doing entrepreneurship. It's not the best way, it's the only way, because it's just like swimming or driving a car. I can tell you all about swimming now. I'm not a good swimmer, so I can't, but if I knew. But at the end of the day, you need to get into the water. Only once you're in the water, you'll start understanding how swimming works, right? And start actually, right? Or driving. Think about driving lessons. At least in Israel, the very first lesson is just sitting behind the wheel, right? And okay, go ahead. Like, what? That's a car. That's I don't know. Yeah. So start driving it.
Yeah.
Right. So similarly with businesses, there are great books. I just recommended one. There's great webinars. There are great, podcasts like yours. There are great and content out there. But ultimately, if you're thinking about starting a business, don't wait to learn another course or another webinar, just start doing it.
Do
Just
it.
do it. Like Nike, just do it. Learn from the failures, learn from the successes, and see if it's for you. I don't think it's for everyone, by the way. I really don't. Um, but see if it's for you, and at least give it a shot. So you'll know if it's for you or not. That's again the only way to know. So that's something I didn't know when I started. I thought maybe I should. Why should I start now? Maybe I need to learn more about this topic first. Maybe I need to graduate first. I need to I need to finish MBA first or whatever that is. People, right?
There's always something.
These stories. Yeah, this is the stories we're telling ourselves all the time. So just do it.
Yeah. You just mentioned earlier that on the weekends you like to disconnect, turn everything off. So when you're not busy with the business, what do you like to do for fun in your free time?
Family, just being with the family, enjoying my two kids. I have 6 years old and Abigail and Rani, 4 years old, and my wife. So being with the family, I've started. I'm trying recently different things. So running a little bit, which I like, but I've recently started trying fishing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I like so far. Yeah, hanging out, just chilling out in the weekend, traveling as much as I can when possible. And now it's winter coming, so not ideal.
That's great.
And by the way, you know what? I still remember the list of ideas we mentioned before. I'm still playing with these ideas on the weekends, not really working on them, but finding myself thinking of them a little bit, like, oh, just an exercise. And then when I go back to my business, a lot of times it's bringing me ideas to my actual business, right?
Oh, really?
So yeah, because it's kind of refreshing, just I think I found I don't watch it too often, but like just watching Shark Tank.
Yes.
So you get new business ideas and you hear how people think about their challenges. So then you kind of ask yourself, so what about my challenges there? Like it's a good reference points a lot of times. So a good exercise.
So let me ask you this then. If you weren't doing RightHear, what interesting idea or project would you consider doing?
Well, I have so many ideas, but you know what?
I know there's one
I
that
would
you're just like that.
no
That yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna sound. It was such a great interview, and I don't want the listeners to think, oh, so hold on, if that's what he just said, so he's real crazy. Forget about this whole episode. I'm thinking about how can we bring peace to the Middle East, and I feel like there must be a creative way that haven't been tried yet. There must be a unique, completely out of the box way that haven't been
Oh my
thought yet
gosh.
because it's just that crazy. But it's the reason I'm thinking about different crazy ideas there is just because I feel that's something that I can definitely see myself committing to for such a long time.
Sure.
And I know that the why behind it is huge. So I'll be able to commit for such a long time. So that's the type of ideas I'm thinking of. I'm not sure there's a business there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's a real business there.
That's a big one though. It's huge. That's
Yeah,
like a lifelong one.
oh yeah. For many people though, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think yeah. I like trying to think about solving challenges and problems. So sometimes there is a business there, sometimes there's not, right? But
Yeah. What are you most excited about? What does the future look like for you and RightHear for the next couple of years?
yeah, well, I'm super excited about one project that we're currently now launching in the DMV area. By the way, our beta version of it is going to be here only in the DMV area. We call it Unlock, and the idea is encouraging users in the community to unlock locations through our app. Basically, is you know building or expanding our Israeli movement here, where people can just ask for this accessibility that we're talking about with businesses. So instead of right here asking a business or talking to them about, hey, have you considered having an audio format signage to your business? And hey, we're selling that. The hope is as from the grassroots, from people, specifically people who are blind and visually impaired, to start asking this through the app. So that's something that really excites me right now in the coming weeks, for sure. And I believe there's a bright future for that, because we've seen that already happening a little bit. And as a big vision, our goal is that by the end of 2030, we'll have at least 100,000 locations accessible. That's a very ambitious and hairy goal.
And you're at how many again right now?
We're currently less than 3,000.
Okay.
So that's about like 100x.
Yes.
But we have time. We have
Yes.
at least 4 years. We have some exciting things going on with our technology and AI within it. We have more awareness that has been built. We have a great faith that if you measure accounts will work with us, others will just follow. And we have a very strong why. But we'll see about that. We'll see about that, if we'll make it or not. Hopefully, if we will, or if we won't, you'll invite me again.
Yes. Yeah, with Unlock, that's interesting. So if a consumer is at some place in DC that doesn't have it, they're going to say, I want it here. And then you're going to see that there's a demand. And then hopefully other consumers also hit it, or whatever it is, or share that there's demand there. And then you can reach out to that place and say, hey, look, how many people wish you were here, or we were here. RightHear was here.
Yeah. So it's even shorter than that, Otto. So once users are here in the area, want the business to be accessible, we've made it as a one click for them to just ask it directly from that business.
How do they do that?
So through the app, we have so you click on the unlock, it finds out the businesses in your area.
Okay.
And then next to each business, there's just ask for accessibility. You just ask the business there, hey, take a look at that. Like, do something with this. Maybe have it. So when they click on that, it basically sends them an email. That's as simple as that. And we hope that these, out of these emails, we start gonna get discussions and progress going. So
interesting. So I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure.
Sure,
so they're in front of. Let's say they're in front of a Starbucks and nothing is there. They don't know they're in front of. Maybe they do, but so then they click on your app, and then an email gets sent to Starbucks corporate.
Yeah. Hi, Starbucks. I'm near whatever Pike and Rose or whatever. I love your coffee, but I hope I could find the restaurant more easier. Have you considered an audio format signage? There's a few you can check out. Have a nice day. Hopefully, when business owners will get these type of emails from actual users who actually need that, we have a good reason to believe that they'll act on it, because it's a customer asking for this and not just a vendor asking to sell them something. So that's the notion behind it. We'll see.
Great idea. Love that.
Yeah. So
great. So Idan, if people want to learn more about you and RightHear, where can they go to, please? So
first of all, our website, it's RightHear HEAR.com, RightHear.com. So it's here like hearing. And that's also my email, Idan, IDAN, at RightHear.com. We have great videos on YouTube, also on our website. We are planning to grow in the coming months. Not hiring at the moment, but planning to hire in the coming month. And so if you're a business in the area and you want to go above and beyond before it's become the new norm, or if you just want to try it out for free, you know what? If you just want to try it out for free for a single month, since it's through this app, just contact us and we'll send you a kit.
I love that. Thank you, Idan. It was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you, Otto. It was a great opportunity for me as well.
Take care.